Hello and welcome to the NUFD. Today we're going to be discussing feminism and if it is needed in the current society. Usually I start with a question, but today I want to start with a short statement, innit? And that is, I do not believe that third wave feminism is needed in the current society.
What is third wave feminism?
It's the one that started 10 to 15 years ago, depending on who you ask. But like, there's different waves and they fought for different kind of rights.
What rights the vague one?
I'll get into that in a second. When feminism started, it was against discrimination on the basis of sex. I'm not here to disagree with that, but that is
First wave feminism.
pretty much.
That's
Yeah.
a good kind.
Oh, you're on my side already? I thought you were on that side. Okay. That is not the definition of feminism in the current Western society. It is developed into a hate movement against masculinity. And I do not believe it defines equality anymore. There was already a word for equality between all humans. It's called humanism. And it's already existed way before feminism. And I'm going to treat it like every other ism, such as Marxism. It's a political agenda, and unless you give a reason for me to believe that it's needed in current Western society, I believe it should end here.
Well, third wave feminism should end here. Wait, so can we have a concrete definition of third wave feminism? Actually, give me the first wave, second wave, and third wave.
Okay.
It's like zombies, isn't it? Just keep coming. Fourth wave feminism.
You're doing 5 minutes to think of their point of views, innit? So which one do you want to start with? You want to start patriarchy, the wage gap, the male gaze? Because I know you feminists, you love grabbing onto lots of stuff. So whatever you want to start with, I'm ready. First wave feminism was a period between feminist activity through the 19th and early 20th century. Legal issues, voting, stuff like that. Second wave. That began in the United States. Second wave began in the United States in the early 1960s and lastly far. Second wave lasted 1960s lasted roughly 2 decades. It spread across the Western world to aim to increase equality for women by gaining more through enfranchisement and other stuff. Yeah.
Man, that goes.
Third wave feminism.
Who won the world?
Girls.
Hey.
This episode's going to be
It's
fun.
a feminist movement that began in the early 1990s in the United States. And there's apparently a fourth one as well that some people believe, 2012, but yeah, it's until present day.
She sounds quite wavy, bro. Like the way some way.
Obviously, I'm not gonna attack the extremists. You know, there's feminists out there that are against mansplaining.
I feel like feminism, let's just get into it, feminism, I feel like it's more of like a culture thing, innit? So like, it's different from culture to culture, and I feel like there are varying levels of oppression in different cultures, innit? So for example, in like, Dubai, for example, where they couldn't vote until recently, and you know they can't show certain areas of their body because they see women in a different light. And over here, I feel like equality is a bit more, accepted. Even though it may still be existing, it's not as bad as other places, isn't it? So yeah, so I feel like there were varying degrees of feminism. So like first wave, second wave, third wave, fourth wave, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's very complex, isn't it? So I feel like in this current society, it's not needed as much, but over in those societies, it is needed a bit more, innit? So I feel like maybe third wave feminism would be great in Dubai, but over here, I feel like it's kind of like not really that necessary. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. You want me to go on another rampage, or do you want to start?
I want you guys to talk, and then...
Because then I'm going to go into points. It's a bit long.
Because
regardless,
Yeah, because I can start on anything, so whatever you say, I'll pretty much probably have it.
well, equality for all humans is amazing, isn't it? But
Yeah, of course.
when that equality shifts, it's like power, in it. So it's like currently, let's say for example, there's the men are up here and the women down here, innit? And feminism, what that does is it skews it, innit? So now,
Let's stop you right there.
No, she's provoking. Thank you, Jamie. I was trying to have that more bait where it wasn't, I'm not trying to give up too much.
The aim of feminism is not to go like that.
yeah,
The aim of feminism is to get there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone
as much as you can to get to that point.
Because you'll never get true equality, it'll always be shifted here and there, however much. But the aim is to get as close to here as possible. Anyone who's pushing it here or anyone who's pushing it here,
It's wrong.
that's not feminism. That's not equality. That's not what the point of feminism is. And the problem everyone seems to have with feminism is that they think feminism is this.
Yeah.
that's
And
what
it's
I
not.
thought it was,
A lot of people believe that you guys are trying
It's
to
not.
take all the
Take over the world.
rights and not have the responsibilities.
That is what we call radical feminism.
Magical, yeah, that's the word.
Okay,
Yeah.
those ones are the ones that are against mansplaining. Those are the ones that
Well,
don't
no,
even
I'm
want
against
men.
mansplaining too.
That's mansplaining.
Here we go. What is mansplaining? Where is mansplaining?
Mansplaining is when typically an issue which is a female issue.
Okay.
So, do you know what? I'll give you a recent example because it's been going over Twitter.
It doesn't even have to be a female issue.
It
just could be any issue. It's just about the way.
Yeah, it's usually a man tends to think that they know more or are better, so they will undermine what the female
Oh, yeah, so it's
So,
like,
yeah,
Very
let me take this.
patronising.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you
There's-
don't understand.
There's
what
literally
feminism
been
is.
so many examples where something about space, and she was like an aeronautics engineer, and someone's like, well, this isn't possible, a man, and she's like, yeah, it is. And then he went on explaining, oh, this isn't working because of this, and she's like, I'm an aeronautical engineer, I literally study this and have done this my whole life. Please don't tell me you know better, you are literally a Twitter user who has no experience in this. I've studied
Fair
this for
enough.
the rest of my
Well,
life.
there was the guy recently who
Who
wrote
wrote
like a
tampon.
really, he
Yeah.
wrote a
Yeah, some
really
people just
long
know the place in
thing
society.
about-
Why is it called
mansplaining. I mean,
Because anyone can do that.
But the whole issue is it derives from the fact that the men seem to think that they're superior to the female.
Yeah, it's the belief that because I am a man, everything that's coming out of your mouth, you female, is incorrect.
So I can say people have been womansplaining as well.
I feel like womansplaining doesn't work because mansplaining is an idea, innit? And
Okay.
it's based off of your personal belief, innit? So let's say, for example, it's an act, innit? If a woman's talking and I choose to undermine her, I've just mansplained in my head, innit? Does that make sense?
I
So
get it,
a
I
woman
get
can't really womansplain because she doesn't believe, unless she maybe in her head she believes that she's above the man, innit?
Yeah.
And the man speaking, and she personally believes that he's a man, so his opinion's invalid, and she begins to throw this information. But then that's when it just doesn't work, because
Okay.
it's a belief system. Innit?
Since you're not gonna take the bait, I'm gonna rule out some
Go
more.
on, go on.
The first thing you touched upon was equality. I think everyone should have equality of opportunity, which is basically everyone should start off at the same place and have the access to everything that everyone else has to, as long as they can pay for it, of course, and blah blah blah. But you can't really define equality because men are not even equal to other men. So I don't understand how you're gonna become fully equal.
Do you know what it is? Do you remember did you see the photo where it was like the kids standing on the boxes? It was like
Yeah.
equality, and what's the other two? Like diverse.
Equity or something.
Yeah, I feel like that's good.
But then those are the people that are basically doing Robin Hood, like taking the money from the rich and like even in.
But no, the boxes one is a really good example of what I'll talk to you about, intersectional feminism. It's like literally the whole point of the boxes is that there's a guy who can reach over the fence and look just fine. He doesn't need a box
He
to
doesn't
stand
need
over.
a box.
But there's a shorter person who will need the box to use over the fence. And it's that level of equality. It's acknowledging that what you said, Des, is a completely accurate point. Some men aren't even on the same level as men. Females aren't on the same level. Your race, your background, your social background, like how much money you have, all of this plays a factor. Feminism is more than just saying equality.
Okay, that's why
Giving everyone
told me, yeah.
It is more the thing that we need to look at is bringing everyone together, and we need to start looking at where people's backgrounds are and how we can bring those to the same level where it is a level playing field. It isn't like we say it very simply, it's about equality and stuff, and it is, but there's a lot of steps to it, and that is acknowledging that men are on different levels, women are on different levels, trans people are on different levels and go through different struggles. We need to start accepting and acknowledging that everyone is going through their own individual struggles, and how can we act to see, okay, these are the struggles that you have, what can we do for you and your whatever, your race, your gender, your background, like as a group, to bring you to the same level as someone who's your average white male counterpart from a middle class family.
I feel like the reason why it's so hard and like complicated and diverse is because like I feel like feminism really does stem from like cultural and like religious factors. You know what I mean? Like how Eve is from the rib and like you know, women stay at home and families and stuff like that, innit? And that's come from a very traditional place, innit? And as humans have developed and, you know, the money's gone up and we've, you know, got into cities and stuff, that's kind of not really fizzled away, but like it's kind of put the attention to say, hang on a minute, like this isn't the best thing anymore. Like we need to kind of change this. And now when you say, and when women, for example, say this, like we need to, you know, start changing things. Wow, whoa, you want to change tradition, you want to change how we've done things for billions of years.
I think it's a thing of like, obviously every people has their own belief system.
Yeah, like these are belief systems, and changing beliefs are hard.
Yeah.
Like we love our beliefs as part of our ego and part of who we are, like
It's
our
cool
identity.
But also part of what makes us human is the fact that we change, innit?
Evolve.
So,
You can't
if you're
stay
not
the same.
evolving,
I'm gonna use that phrase
you're
for now.
becoming less human because you're trying to stay as something that you're not meant to be.
And you'll die out eventually.
Yeah. So
What's toxic masculinity? What's toxic masculinity?
I was gonna get onto that later, but first, that's a big thing. I had a couple paragraphs on that actually, just in case. But what I wanted to talk about was, since you haven't told me anything, I wanted to ask you directly: how do you think women are disadvantaged in society? Because if you ask me personally, I think it's the other way around. Men are disadvantaged in all the places that it matters. This is coming from law to the house to society, media, everything.
You mean this? Do you mean the UK?
Western society.
Oh,
Western society. Okay, do you want me to... Because I agree with you that men are disadvantaged in certain
More
areas.
disadvantaged than women.
I wouldn't say they are more disadvantaged than women.
That is exactly the core of feminism. So why do you think women are disadvantaged in Western society?
Because going off traditions and stuff, it is tradition that the woman is the homemaker, the this, the childcare.
These labels.
It's a lot of roles and responsibilities placed onto the woman in terms of norms in regards to areas you're meant to be working in, how like stuff like maternity leave a mother will take, but as a result, employers higher up will probably not hire that person because they're a woman based on the fact that you're going to be taking 9 months off to have babies, or you're planning a family in the future. Like stuff like that happens. The gender pay gap is real. However much people try to say it's not real, the way it's counteracted is people will create other jobs and say, okay, imagine you and I are both going for manager here. They'll create another job, so they can pay you higher, being like, well, you're the regional manager of this section, blah blah blah. You're just the manager, and it does happen. Like people will create new jobs.
First thing you touched on was the maternity leave thing, and I think that's just a logical reason. Like, if I'm going to hire someone as a CEO of my business, I'm going to hire someone that hopefully is not going to go 9 months away from my business and not work there.
But why do you assume that the female isn't capable of doing it?
No, it's just the fact that they're going to have to take 9 months off.
I know, but you're basing your action off of a probability, not a certainty.
Yeah, there are businesses that won't hire women just because of the possibility that down the line she might get pregnant.
But they usually ask anyway.
You're not allowed to ask.
Yeah,
That's a personal topic, not.
Yeah.
So that means they have to
It's not
assume.
business.
It's like a tick box.
So they have to assume.
Yeah, it's illegal to ask that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So people are assuming that. What if that woman doesn't want kids?
Right.
What if that woman isn't planning on having kids until much later in
But I
life?
feel like, not gonna lie, I feel like, what are the statistics for that, innit? Do you know what I mean? Where an employer would choose not to hire women because of that possibility that she might have a kid in.
The thing is, statistics, I don't have any on me, but I feel like statistics as a general will be hard to find.
Yeah.
Because how do you admit and put it down on paper?
Yeah.
I refused because she was a woman. It goes off the fact that most
Are there
people,
like stories?
It's stories.
There's
And it's
loads of stories,
it's how people share their experiences of saying, well, no, typically I wouldn't hire that woman because she's going to be out and have a baby or something like that, and she's going to have to. And it does happen. Like if we assume that the norm is still the woman is going to be in charge of the childcare, the woman is in charge of this. That means if the kid is sick from school, the woman will have to take it off. It's not even like you think that actually there's usually 2 parents involved. It's going to be split.
Let's talk about the gender pay gap, please. Because I've done a lot of research into that.
That's horrible. You know what I mean? And what is it a massive gap as well?
It really depends on what area you're in. and where you're working, but I know for a fact that at PMU with the lecturers,
Really?
the female lecturers are underpaid compared to their male counterparts.
And PMU as well.
Yeah.
See with the LGBT flags and stuff, you think, oh. They're one job, you know?
It happens everywhere. You just never seem to notice it.
Well, obviously the main argument was like, if you do some simple maths, take all the males in the country, all the females, divide it, median, will be like, end up with like 79p to like £1 for every male or something like that. Which is obviously...
Is there a process in place for women to appeal, saying, hey...
Of course.
Yeah.
And does that work? Is that an effective...
You have to
solution?
prove that you are not getting paid as much as your male counterparts.
Is it long, like long-winded?
It's very long.
Yeah, that's what... Yeah, you need to cut that service in half
Do-
now. You need to make it easy.
So, do you actually believe that if me and you apply for the same job and you or I got it, we'll get different pay?
Yes. Not always, but it can
Because
very
they usually
easily
tell you your
happen.
salary while you're applying, and that's before they even find out your sex. That's on the board, and it's illegal to pay based on different sexes. And it's
It's
just
all like them loopholes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It becomes like, oh,
I'm sure
you're
there's
more eligible
loopholes.
for promotion. Oh, you get this bonus.
Yeah.
That was
Let's
more in
give
like,
you more hours in this area.
Yeah.
rather than-
that
It
happens more in
happens
like
tiny little
older
actions.
corporations and companies that have more influence.
Because-
Than, like, the business.
Because my first point of view when I heard this gender pay gap thing, I was like, if there's lots of loopholes against women in place, then I'm sure every single company will be hiring women. I mean, when you want someone to do the same job and get paid less.
Not necessarily because it's like... But because it's like paid less in it, so... I feel like there's an assumption that women don't have as much skills than the men in it. So like... It's what with mansplaining.
Yeah.
Maybe the employer believes that men workers are better equipped to do this job than female workers. I've got a diversity gap thing that I need to fill, so I will still hire women. But in my head, I still believe that a man is more suited to do this job. So I will be more,
Lenient towards the male.
to
The
the
reason
man.
for that is because most
How is it?
employers are pale male and still, innit?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a thing where like they just based off their probably most likely their traditions and how they were brought up and raised.
Yeah, and
They can't see a woman as just a person or an individual. They see a woman as a woman,
Yeah,
and they see men as men.
Well, first thing is probably maternity leave, because it starts with that 79 or 80 to £1, it's like 90%. Then once you go into it and you start looking for specific examples, you can see the choices and the hours worked, then it goes to about 7%, and there's lower other factors.
Well, in another country, I think it would be madder in another country.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably
Once
worse.
you leave Western society, it gets quite
Pretty
apparent
drastic.
quite quickly. But obviously, statistically, lots of people just say it's just not there, which is why they'll call it a myth. But I'm sure there is some people, some business owners out there who will treat.
Something which was kind of funny. It was like a woman fire. She was like a fire officer. She was a fire lady, innit? And she was like, is that the whole thing?
Firewoman.
Yeah, firewoman. That's it. And she was like,
Stop calling them firemen or policemen because it stops women from wanting to apply for the job in the first place.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
But on that side note, I also saw an extreme feminist, I'm gonna call it. She was like, we need to change it from human to
Hugh person.
human person, something like that.
What?
See, look.
those are memes. Those are memes. I love them.
They
Sexist
literally,
or something.
they are. What they are is they're memes. Like, no one cares if you want to call your gingerbread man a gingerbread man or a gingerbread man.
Gingerbread
We don't, on a level, we don't give a fuck about stuff like
I
that.
hope not.
People say that it's a bit of a laugh, people always take it to the extreme. But the reality is, no one cares.
Okay,
Call your
what
gingerbread
about-
man a man.
Okay,
What
what
we
about-
care about is making sure that that women and men have the same rights.
Yeah.
Like that's what's important.
Alright, cool. So what about like my kids go to a school, like primary school, and now they are being taught like loads of stuff about LGBT and stuff, like saying, okay, it's cool to be this gender and this gender and this gender and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because did you hear the report about they were teaching LGBT? No,
In
okay,
Birmingham.
yeah, that's it. No, Brighton. Or is it Birmingham?
Birmingham.
As well, yeah. And then there were, and it was just a bit, and I thought, in my opinion, I was like, okay, cool, but I prefer if you teach this in like college you know, at that age when they're a bit more mature in it.
A bit less impressionable.
Yeah, like when you start teaching them this, then that's when you start affecting the next generation.
Yes.
Then they're all gonna start believing that I am trans, and that's gonna actually make a problem. Do you know what I mean?
Go on, Amber.
I saw the way you looked up, like you saw an idea, like.
I don't think that's true. I think the purpose of these, like, everyone knows that kids are impressionable.
Yeah.
Through these lessons, we're not trying to, or people aren't trying to let children just pick a gender or do whatever they want. It's just to let them know that these are things that are happening. Like, these are, and if it does apply to you, then that's fine. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I think everyone's going on about how these kind of lessons are going to indoctrinate kids and they're all going to come out with like 25 different genders. But
Are there 25 genders?
109.
How many genders are there?
It's not, I told you that, innit?
Wait, how many genders are there?
Okay, it's funny that you say
Roughly
that.
100, yeah.
I think gender is a social construct.
Okay, it's funny that you say that. How are you gonna argue that you get paid on different genders if gender is a social construct? Because
No, how many
99
sexes?
genders. Are you going to say that all 99 genders get paid differently?
No, it's
and
genders.
discriminated against?
No, like
So-
I'm fighting for equality between all
Politically
genders.
speaking.
But this is even people who identify as male, people who identify as female, which is the majority. There needs to be equality between there. People who identify as non-binary, they should be getting the same representation, respect, equality as someone who does identify as a gender.
I get that.
It shouldn't be that much of a problem. Like if everyone's going on about, oh, what we need to be looking at is equality, gender doesn't matter. Feminism's just a name. Give it any other name if you really want. But yeah, there we go. But the ideology is still the same, is that we're fighting for equality for everyone.
Just ending that pay gap, and it was just like in this country up until the age of 35, women are actually paid more on average. If you do the same maths, it's just add every single male.
What about after 30?
Divine media.
But after 35, which is when you get into
No,
the
but
senior
like,
position.
Yeah.
but I'm like, so you're saying, so it's 35 on a magic number, like women are paid more, so we're more attributed to women, and then the power just reverses at 35. Don't you think it's something to do with the fact that women go at birth control at that time, and then they're looking to employ CEOs, and men are working harder and retire later? But anyway.
Maybe.
But how are you saying men are working harder?
Because
We're not even giving females the chance.
there's not, how are we not giving them
Because
the
we're
chance?
not putting them in those positions of higher power.
So now you're arguing there's no equality and opportunity. You don't think women are given the chance to
But
get into the jobs?
that's the whole point. That's where the gender pay gap comes from. Because women, like it comes to about 35, and people start thinking, okay, that's when people start moving into senior positions of like higher level management. By 35, you're at the top end of your career and you're working your way towards like where you're. And it's at that stage that it drastically switches. And the switch is going to men, the positions are going to males. And because of the assumption they're going to go have kids, they're going to go do that.
Environment now, but give it a couple more years, I feel like it'll be not fine, but I feel like it'll be drastically improved.
Yeah,
Like,
the aim is slowly, of course, it's balancing out compared to, let's go 20 years back. Of course, it's balanced out a hell of a lot more, but we're still not balanced.
Because the thing is as well is they're still in those positions, on the hiring positions, isn't it? Like older people, the older generation are still in those positions of power, innit? So give it a couple years until they die off, and then we have a new generation of new people with a completely different mindset, and things will be better.
But not everyone's going to have a completely different mindset.
But most,
I feel like
That's
an average
true.
though.
But I feel like as a society, I want to say we are more open to
Yeah.
like feminism
Definitely.
and equality and stuff like that.
most definitely.
And that's only gonna like promote more equality in the future. It's like what you were saying, like good thinking, good thoughts is gonna promote good things in the future. Yeah.
Okay. Moving away from the gender pay gap, because we can argue about that all day. Do you believe in patriarchy?
Isn't that like kings and stuff?
The patriarchy is the assumption of that males are the head, the
Dominant.
leader. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
because that's the way that I was raised.
What do you mean?
Well, because culturally, I was raised that men are the head of the house, innit? You know what I mean? So that is a belief that is kind of hard to now shift, innit?
Yeah.
Especially because I'm a man as well, like, it puts me in favour. So now I am in a position of, what's the word? You know when like a white person is like talking on a racial issue, he's in a position of
Bias.
And so like now it's kind of biased to me in it because like now I'm in a position where I've got to have a certain role and certain attitude in it, and it makes sense in it like how men are considered to be.
Why does it make sense?
From a religious point of view as well, from like so God is seen as man. We address him as he with male pronouns in it, and like he made Adam first, and then Eve is a woman object sprunging off of him, and this is all the stuff that I've been fed in it. Obviously, you've been fed something different, and it's like I feel like with the patriarchy, we've got kings. So kings traditionally, I'd say I don't know if a king has more power than a queen. So, but it's equal in it. But in my head, when I think of a king, I feel like a king is always going to have more power than a queen in it.
I think, you know what it is? Historically, kings have always had, majoritively, when it comes to ruling as a union, kings have always had more power than queens.
Yeah,
it's based off like, you know, males having the divine birthright, etc.
Like dominance and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Again, all this is based off what the perception is. Men are being told that they're stronger, they're more knowledgeable, they're blah.
They say like,
Oh yeah, biologically as well. I was gonna say that. Do you want to say your thing?
yes, please.
Yeah, say your thing. So biologically, like, would you not agree that men are biologically a bit more, like evolutionarily more, you know, stronger than women? Or is that not true?
Physically, yes, biologically they are somewhat stronger. Not in all cases.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could take Des down.
But that's where it comes from.
But yeah, there's going to be slight differences biologically, and we get that, but it's not in all cases. But I guess the term of are we in a patriarchy? We are in a patriarchy
Well,
in
right
a
now.
society in general, because ultimately, again, looking at statistics, the people who are in higher powers are mainly men. The House of Lords, I believe there's only one woman in it.
No, it's in the Supreme Court.
Supreme Court, somewhere.
Somewhere, someplace. But yeah.
But there's like a lot of scenarios where it is that men are usually the ones in power dictating the
Does
rules.
the Queen have power? Apparently she has no power.
And it's,
Yeah, there's one
There's a lot of
woman
women
she's
though.
black. I just remembered.
But really?
Yeah.
No, the Supreme Court. This is Baroness Hill. So she's like some full-time
Yeah, she just family.
initially you said no, but this is why I love it, because you said no to patriarchy basically when you started anyway.
But in regards to patriarchy or matriarchy, I don't believe there should be a matriarchy either. I don't think we need to be in a society run and led by women.
But that's
Matriarchy is meant to be both.
So who should run?
No, matriarchy is women. What we
A dual triarchy.
This
we
is
don't
where
need a hierarchy of men in charge, female in charge. What we need is the best person equipped for the role in charge.
But what
Yeah.
if it's... Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. But what if there's an average where the best person equipped is a man? Is there going to be an issue with that? So let's say over a 10-year period,
the best person
there's
is a man.
7 men
10 years
and
out
3
of
women. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
That can happen, but it shouldn't be happening as often as it is. Because are we really saying that on every average that the female is lesser than the male? It shouldn't be, if it's
Great
50-50, it should be around 50-50. We're not expecting it to be exactly like there is always going to be times where the male's better, the female's better. And that's fine, but at the moment we are so tilted towards the male, something must be going wrong.
Okay.
Either we're not educating our females to the full
That's what I
capacity, or some. But there are females who are being taught from a young age, you are lesser. And if they're being taught at a young age,
patriarchy supports that belief system, yeah. That's why it's a problem.
Well, the original definition of patriarchy was just a value system that basically power gets pushed onto, like, if I have a son, we started with kings, and it was like pushed on in this whole between a certain group. It's not really let to come out, and then feminists came around and say patriarchy has to do with men. It's not patriarchy if it's male, because I don't know, male.
Well, when that
evil.
happens,
That's like,
when that happens, yeah, it just bleeds out to the rest of society, innit? So them ideas that held within that patriarchy are just bled out to everyone else, innit?
yeah,
And
well,
that's when they are affected.
going with the feminist definition is basically saying that we're in a male-dominated society, and I don't think that's true in the slightest. I think all the top positions are up to equal, especially this time last year. This country was run by women. The monarchy, the queen, obviously, women, prime minister.
the next 3 monarchs are going to be men. It's just luck.
I'm talking about this time last year, and whether they have power. I'm not really sure if they can pass laws or anything, but they have a lot of influence. That's still a
So
lot.
what can the Queen do, fam?
She's just a figure.
She's just a figure.
Obviously, she.
She could walk in and call the Prime Minister and not go to jail. So I think that's
Really?
yeah. So I think that's power.
The Queen actually can't do much at all. She can give her royal assent, and if she chooses not to give her royal assent, people will just be like, abolish the monarchy.
What's a royal assent?
She has to, every single law that's passed, she has to write like a note.
She has to say, yeah, I approve. But the truth is, she can't say no to any of them.
Yeah, the last time someone
Said no.
was the 1600s and it went badly.
Yeah.
So
Fuck you anyway.
Let me finish.
The Queen is just there for tourism.
Oh,
Yeah.
$1 billion industry. Keep it.
Well, she's on my £10 notes, so she's okay. First, Prime Minister, she's still a woman. First Minister of Scotland, leader of the Conservative Party in Scotland, leader of the Labour Party in Scotland.
She's 99 years old.
The biggest police force, all led in the country. Biggest police force, Scotland Yard. This time last year was a woman.
okay, but it's not just about the gender of the person who's in these roles, it's also how they're treated in these roles.
Yeah.
So the is it Diane Abbott,
Yeah.
the Labour MP? Every time she's done any interview or anything, even if it's gone badly, the treatment she's got afterwards, no man in that same position would get that.
What do you mean?
So
She gets torn down at every stage.
Okay.
Whether you agree or disagree with her beliefs is out of the question. But come out of an interview, had a man been in that interview, no one will ever get grilled as much as she. And a lot of it is part of the fact that she's black and a female. The amount of racial abuse she receives.
Oh yeah.
Like just because she's
similar to
done an
Raheem
interview.
Sterling.
Like,
Every time he does anything, look what he's done.
like it's not normal, it's not okay. And it's the same thing. She is black and a female. She's getting like discriminated on two different things. And it will just happen. The females that are in power, it's so great that they're in power, but like you're able to like list them because there's so few.
No, this is all the important powers. Like this is government, this is police.
But then
this is
look
queen,
how
like,
many.
where else do you want power?
Okay, so she's at the top, which is really like Labour MP leaders, blah blah blah, is really great. They're at the top.
Yeah.
But then how many other females are there in the bracket just below her? Not many. And the brackets below that, it will be.
It's like a trickle down effect. It gets smaller and smaller the more you go down.
I'll just put one up there,
But
that's it. It'll be good.
I honestly believe, unless gender roles are reversed, that men are always going to be earning just a bit more power, because men oftentimes are not majority.
If you think of the top 1% of the top 1% that actually run this country, I feel like they're all men.
Yeah.
Not this time last
I
year.
feel like that's why.
Maybe we're talking about business owners.
Not even business, or if you look at the Fortune 500, yeah, and the top companies, I feel like they're all owned by men in it.
Yeah, we're talking about companies.
Actually, no, some of them are women are like,
But I feel like the people that pull the strings on the earth
Yeah.
are men in it. So I feel like they're obviously gonna want to support themselves in it. So I feel like they'll entertain feminism for a bit just to keep
entertaining.
But yeah,
it's true. They will.
Yeah.
Men are conniving, man.
Do you know what I mean? They'll be like, alright, hire a couple of them here, and that's it.
but like even then, like you're saying, men are. It becomes like this attack on all males.
No, but it's not like I'm a guy in it. So when I say men are conniving, it's not like I'm saying all men, but I know that men are conniving.
And women are
Yeah,
I've seen it.
We're not that accurate.
I've done it.
That's right.
So like,
No, but it just goes back to the point of ultimately, yeah, some men are dicks, some women are dicks. Like it, but it's not based on their gender. It's just based because
The humans are dicks.
Yeah. Like humans are shitty.
Humans are always gonna want to like tribalism.
Yeah, but I like.
So
Maybe that's a valid point, to be honest.
like why back to the original question of feminism is still needed, because just to have this conversation where we're sitting here and saying, okay, yeah, there's some men there, like I think feminism has a dirty stigma attached to it, in case this is what it is, but like talking to you guys, what everyone has said here is what I would consider feminist beliefs.
I'm a feminist.
I'm not sure about that, but
Yes. Support.
yeah, fair enough. But as I was going,
I love them.
men probably do see themselves in a position of powers and put themselves in
I
a
mean,
position of resemblance, but
everyone sees themselves as powerful, innit? You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like, if I'm a man, I'm gonna see other men and myself as powerful. If I'm a woman, I'm gonna see other women and myself as powerful.
No, but I think having power is also like it's not even
responsibility to share it.
Like, it's not responsibility.
It's fine.
A lot of men don't have power. Like a lot of men, people our age, we don't have power. Like just over our futures, you know, the things we struggle with, our circumstances in life currently. So for men our age, I feel like power is something that we've all wanted, but we know, like we believe we have because we're free in uni and whatnot, but we don't.
okay. One question: did Caitlyn make less money when she became general or whatever?
She went into a completely different career.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about her. I think she's a shit
Olympics.
person.
Why?
She's killed someone, and no one,
Killed someone.
no one ever talks about the fact.
No one ever talks about
She's
it.
a murderer.
She drove into someone's car, and the police said she was travelling at an unsafe speed, and yeah, she killed them.
I've never heard that in my life. That is crazy.
Everyone seems to focus on, oh, Caitlyn used to be bruised, Caitlyn used to be...
Is that why she was sexually back into her life?
The media is so powerful.
Yeah.
They just whatever they want us to be.
And what did she win that year?
Woman of the Year award.
She didn't, and loads of people were arguing, oh, she doesn't deserve Woman of the Year because she's not a woman, or she
She
wasn't.
don't deserve it because
That's
she's
like-
killed someone.
I don't give a fuck what you were before. You're a woman now, that's fine. If you're a good person,
Michael Jackson.
you're Woman of the Year. But you fucking killed someone. You did not deserve that
Yeah,
award.
they need no, even if it was accidentally, you need to
Or
go
was it
through
before
the
she got the
whole-
award?
The same way that
Before she got the award.
Also, she's against gay marriage.
Yeah, like, she's a shit person in general. I don't agree with what
Wait,
she's
but you're a woman. You can't be against
Another
gay
thing as well,
marriage.
did you see them
You like
UFC
women.
stories where like a man UFC fighter will just go to the women UFC section, dominate it, and then win all these trophies and stuff?
And like, that's just the physical aspect. There's loads more dangerous things that will happen if we keep on going.
No, I don't get it.
Or like another
How can you go from being a guy to a woman? Yeah, and then you want to be against gay marriage.
doesn't make sense.
And she said it on Ellen.
That makes it 10 times worse.
What? Like Ellen of Wall Shows.
But yeah,
Excuse me?
But no, I don't have any sympathy for her because she was supporting Donald Trump, and then when Donald Trump turned around and said, "Oh, I'm not letting trans people in the military,"
It's like,
all upset. I was just like, well,
sorry. Why are you running? But yeah, but it's just weird that people.
I
seem
feel
to-
like with sex changes,
Mm.
I just think they're crazy. Like honestly, I just think it's crazy.
Well, that's a future topic. We'll talk about that scene. But with this whole thing, that's a future topic. We'll talk about that scene. But with this whole thing with patriarchy, I just find it funny that because, well, primary school, secondary school, all the way up to pretty much uni, all taught by majority women, and it's kind of funny that they think that women would then teach patriarchy to males and stuff like that. But anyway, moving away from patriarchy, do you believe there's a rape culture?
What's that?
A
It's
rape
weird.
culture.
Definition
I've heard
that
it.
in society we basically encourage males to rape females, something like that.
Nah, fam. I feel like if you believe that there's a rape culture, then you're a kind of rapist, and then you've got something wrong. Like,
Okay, can we just skip that one? Because
I think majority of people are against. Sorry.
No, the term rape culture is such a weird and fucked up thing to
it's
say.
mad, isn't it?
Like a culture to rape. we, I promise you, we do not have that. What we do have, though, is when people are getting sexually abused or anything of the sort, a lot of people are too scared to speak up. And then a lot of the times when it's been proven, or especially in people of higher powers, there's not enough justice being served. So, go on.
Sorry, no, I think it's actually deeper than that. I think it's also talking about the fact that if we raise kids a certain way, even if like kids, it just starts with kids telling each other jokes in the playground, and how it can grow from that. How like one simple mindset can expand to someone being an adult and having like
This
such,
belief.
yeah,
This firmly held belief about
It's
women.
scary.
yeah.
I see news in it, in documentaries.
But at the same time, I feel like the act of sexually taking advantage of another female is, I feel like across the board is taught as really morally wrong. Innit?
Well, yeah, because
And I
you're
feel like-
going out of your way to
Yeah.
mentally you know, and physically abuse someone.
Yeah.
Like that's really messed up, and with what I saw bare documentaries about like how people would come out and say they were raped and people would not believe them and stuff, and like women just don't want to speak out and stuff. So maybe I feel like it needs a new word in it, not rape culture.
I think that's due to like guys like having the ability to intimidate and like pressure.
You don't know what happened.
In those
Like, let's go. What was the name? Was it Brock Tanner?
Oh, yeah, the guy at Stanford.
Yeah, but he was like a swimmer or something,
Yeah.
wasn't he? And he raped a girl.
Rape.
Rape. Like literally.
As in, I think she was unconscious.
Yeah.
Rape.
all the evidence admitted, and I think he even went on and admitted that he'd done it against her will.
I did that.
He got like 6 weeks in community
6
service.
weeks.
He was sentenced to 6 months in prison, but he
got
was
shot.
released after 3 for good behaviour.
Like it's stuff like that. If they're not being punished adequately, how many girls are going to be there thinking, well, what's the point? It's I'm spending a year in legal fees doing this and that and that. When
That's fair enough.
and
that's really disgusting.
Is he on the sex offenders list?
I don't know if he is. I don't know.
I feel like that's good enough punishment. No, actually, no, not good enough punishment, but I feel like that is a punishment.
I think he'd be branded or something.
Yeah, you branded as a rapist.
But yeah, male gaze is the way they bring up the male gaze, and I just think that's even silly to talk about.
Male gaze.
Male gaze.
I feel like certain instances of rape though can be subjective.
Avoided. Avoided.
Subjective.
What does,
Like,
yeah.
consent is key. Do you know what?
Just
Like,
get consent.
like
I'm just asking.
But if you're drunk, and no one remembers the story, it's hard to know the truth.
Or what about,
Really hard
you know
to
them
know.
really sticky stories
If-
where it was like,
I feel
I
like-
touched her boob at a party and I raped her. You know what I mean? Like that's some real stuff. Like.
well, touching a boob and raping someone.
Okay, no.
Yeah, they're not.
Just be able to touch them, but you're a rapist.
But-
No, like the girl can come out and say he violated me when the guy can come out and say, well, I just touched her boob. Like I didn't. You know,
But that's the thing is like I just touched her boob. Like why is that not a bit like you've just touched someone against their will on a part that they feel very private about. Like whether you're drunk, whether you're not drunk, just ask. It's not like
Just
and
ask.
the thing is, even little things like little things I need to say like touch. I had a member of like my friendship group 2 years ago be really drunk and touch me.
Yeah.
He was like my brother to me. I loved him, had so much respect, and he was drunk. And I completely understood that that was not him when he was sober, not at all. But the thing is, it's just the fear of, like, what do you say? I personally chose not to take it any further. I spoke to him when he was sober, and of course he was sorry, but at the end of the day, I was never able to look at him in the same way. The friendship group, they kind of carried on with it, but it still sat with me in terms of, maybe I'm the one in the wrong for even talking about this, because I know he did it as an accident. I know he had a girlfriend, and I know he would never ever do that had he been sober. But the thing is, he still did it to me, and he made me feel like utter shit, and I wanted to cry. But other than me bringing it up now and the day it happened, I've never spoken about it since. And I think that's a lot of the fear. Like, I've got nothing to feel shameful for because thankfully I'm strong enough and I can deal with it, and I've got a support network if I need it, but thankfully I don't. But if it happens to other girls and other people in more vulnerable positions, if people aren't getting punished and there's that stigma and there's no education in terms of teaching people that consent is key and it's not okay whether you're drunk or not. If you're drunk, then you need to go home. If you're out of control of your own body, you need to start realising that and like putting yourself into check.
Okay, let's say, and by the way, with the boob touching thing, it was in the context of she's in the bed and in the guy's head, he believes that the consent has been given. Because in it, that a girl can revoke consent any point during.
A guy could revoke consent as well.
Yeah, it
remember?
works both ways.
Yeah.
You have to say stop. Really and truly.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the consent I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, let's say for example, the guy's doing his thing, yeah, and like he's literally just doing his thing, but the girl comes out and says, yeah, in my head I revoked consent time ago, and you just kept going, and like through my body language, you should have understood that my consent was revoked and stuff. You know what I mean? Because some girls don't vocalize it.
Do you know what I mean?
And yeah, I guess if people aren't vocalising it, then we need to get more education in terms of telling people to vocalise it. That again, it stems back to education, and we need to start putting things forward that okay, we need to teach girls, boys, that if you're ever in this situation and you've said yes before, or you're scared or you're worried, just push them away if you need to. Speak, use your words, use whatever you can to get away from this situation.
That's why I don't talk to shy girls.
That's it. Just two things that I wanted to touch on. Objectification, what do you think about that?
I think with objectification, women get objectified a lot, and it's deemed as very wrong, and I do agree that it's very wrong. But I have to say, when people objectify men, it seems to be okay.
It's funny.
I think people don't even view it as objectification when it comes to men. It's just like a standard.
And I don't think that's okay.
I feel like when it comes to pornography, I want to talk to you, by the way. Like towards you, because you mentioned it. I think towards pornography. I think towards pornography, it's a thing where like the women choose to be in those situations.
In the scenes,
like they know.
But the thing is, it's like,
and it's a controlled, safe environment. Don't get it twisted. Like everyone gets tested every 2 weeks. I read about it somewhere.
Yeah.
But like, I think the whole pornography thing. If you want to do it, that's all on you. But like, when it's been objectified the way it is, it's like you can't really take them seriously about them being.
The thing is about porn, is that porn is an over exaggeration of it. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like it's not sex anymore, innit? It's kind of like this crazy theatrical performance, innit? And now it's just everywhere on the internet and is available to the world, innit? So I feel like objectification, unless porn is toned down, objectification will still keep going, innit?
I feel like with porn is in the entertainment industry. It's made there to entertain, and it's there for a reason. I don't think anyone actually says this is what sex is, and porn stars themselves will say never watch this if you think this is. Don't watch this for educational purposes, because it's not. It really isn't. But in terms of objectifying people in the porn industry, it's still not okay. They've chosen to take on this role, but it's a job nonetheless. If they're outside of work and they're getting hit on, it's still not okay. If someone comes and touches their bum, like at the end of the day, porn, you're working in a very consensual environment. You talk with your partner, this is what I'm going to do, this is going to happen. Like,
it's coordinated.
I'm saying the bad thing comes when it's like so readily available to the public. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's changing, but even then, again, I think education is what's important. We need to start teaching people this is what's okay, this is what's not okay.
Okay.
To be honest, this is one I never researched properly because I don't really understand what objectification is. I understand harassment and control.
Some human into like a sexual object, like that goal, she's only here to please me, and her boobs and bum, like you don't. That's a person that you're looking at, innit? But
that's not illegal, right?
No, it is. It's how you view it. It's like there's just, you know what I mean. It's like
me looking at Dia and saying all I see is a vagina.
Yeah,
that's objectifying.
Like you don't see the person, you see the tits.
Okay.
And it can go deeper than that and being like, well, I look at Dia and what I see is someone who's able to write my essays. Like it can be little thing, and it's like looking at men in magazines having them shirtless, so people can just view them and look at their abs and stuff like that.
Well, I remember BuzzFeed released an article and it had like a list of 15 male celebrities and it was ranking their bulges when they were in public. But can you imagine if it was based on like a woman's boobs or something?
Yeah. That is
so rude.
Like it's so inappropriate. So inappropriate.
That would be too. Oh no, that would be too rude. That wouldn't last like an hour.
And that's why feminism is needed, because that goes into toxic masculinity. Is people are being raised on the fact that it's okay to look at men's bulges. It's okay to rate their bulges. It's okay to make them take their top off and do this and do. It's not fucking okay.
Yeah.
Like it's not okay. If you're not going to do it to a woman. Why are you doing it to a man?
Okay. You're gonna have to explain toxic masculinity.
Yeah, like that's not okay.
I actually
I'm not gonna lie, it happened to me before.
You know what I mean? I can just kind of do that. No, but it's like brought by strangers.
Like she's smiling at me like
who's being called the big one?
No. sum up toxic masculinity then really quickly because I've got to go to work in 3 minutes.
Go on.
It is I'm going to correct me as I go along, but it's the notion that men have to act in a certain way and men have to adhere to these certain standards.
I like that.
And be masculine.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's this notion that men have to
Forcing
be,
men to be.
yeah. What is the perception of masculine?
Okay,
They're
so
to be
with
strong,
toxic
they're to be
masculinity,
muscular.
I like-
if he chooses to follow a toxic masculinity lifestyle, is he at fault? Is he at
What do we mean
Like
by
he's following a toxic.
Yeah, the
Oh,
bit
yeah,
is
it's
the
bad.
toxic is then pushing it onto others and then assuming that actually
Come on, be a man!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a big part of it is like male mental health. And
it's a really big problem.
Don't cry, you bitch!
Yeah, that is one of the biggest problems. It's like we need to start teaching that it's okay for a man to cry. Like it's okay for a man
I've
to
cried
have
bare.
feelings.
Actually, I haven't cried that much, but I've cried in the past 3 months. Facts.
Yeah, pussy.
Toxic masculinity.
You should cry.
But yeah,
So
The only thing you should be crying over is uni at this moment. 'Cause
Pretty much.
I'm at that stage.
and voting. she cried like a baby. Anyway,
Toxic masculinity though is like, I feel like it comes from like these evolutionary, you know, like in a playground type thing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like when the kids are like playing and fighting and stuff, and then the kid will cry like, "Hi, baby!" Like,
This is
It's
why
cool.
education is
oh
key.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
This is my
Because
main
when you're
point.
not educated, you assume,
I like that story.
and then you're sometimes going to lead you to a whole different planet of thinking. So,
But just quickly before I let you go,
This is how I judge a feminist. I judge them on the first year definition.
Are you objectifying feminists?
Oh my god. Tuscan femininity.
Is that real?
What is the?
it's called radical.
Radical femininity. Okay.
Just answer the question. What is the political movement that is the male version of it?
just this name as well, if you know it.
There is no male.
Meninism.
No, there
I'll
is
say
no
that.
male version of feminism.
There is.
I've seen meninism.
Meninism it was purely made just to like troll
Oh, it's
feminism.
amazing. Wait.
A part of
There
it
are
was.
plenty of-
That was extreme though.
Yeah, there are plenty of male and female feminists who are advocating for like or focusing on men's issues and things like that. But I think
I wish I wanted to see more.
They create issues.
because
people who I've seen identifying as menimists are purely doing it
As a
to
joke.
to
yeah, a lot of it.
counteract
I've seen a lot of
feminism.
news from them. To be honest, yeah.
No, I don't see them advocating for male rights in a way that's needed.
Because they don't
It's
need
just-
to.
I don't
They
see
need
them
to.
advocating for female rights either. Like feminism is about like male and female feminists, yeah, non-gender binary, wherever you are on the gender spectrum. If you're identifying as a feminist, in my eyes, feminism should be for everyone. And if it's
Yeah.
not for everyone, it's not feminism.
Mm.
It is the same way.
Mm.
Whereas something that gets to me is automatically when parents get divorced, the parental rights go to the mother. I don't think that's okay.
I have a long list of the
Yeah.
way men are
But
disadvantaged
yeah,
in society.
I feel like that's what that.
You can argue that, but it's about making sure it's all equal. Is the person, and that's what people need to fight. But it's the fact that at the moment, just for a little brief period in time, men's issues are still there and people are focusing on them. But at the majority in the society that we're in, there are a lot more female issues. We're still at this area, and of course, we're still gonna be working on men's issues and bringing them higher. But at the moment, we do need to put in a little bit more work with the female issues to get to a stage where we're working on everything together.
I actually think men don't complain because that's we're not told toxic masculinity.
Toxic,
is.
yeah.
That's why you don't see meninism as a serious political movement because we're too busy working hard.
Meninism isn't a serious political movement.
Well, I think that men are seriously disadvantaged in a lot of areas that really count.
Yeah,
There are-
feminism.
There are men advocating for like better male rights who aren't menimists. I just
Meninist is literally a troll movement.
What male rights are being violated?
I think what people think
Okay,
is
this first
actually
I have to go to work now.
It's literally 1 minute. It's literally
Okay,
1
let's
minute.
go.
Is it on campus?
No, it's in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
First, the second thing that we talked about was rape culture.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the opposite. We don't encourage it. Males are put in prison for longer sentences than women. I mean, they just get discriminated.
So yeah, maybe
even if you get,
raped.
yeah, and it's not looking as serious even if you reverse it. But even if you get accused of rape, your career flatlines. Men fill up the prisons. 80% of the homeless people are male. Bricklayer jobs, all male. Male struggle with alcoholism, drug depression. It's just
Kind of fits into toxic masculinity because it's like the depression does at least because like they feel depressed because they don't feel manly.
Yeah,
You know what I
they've lost
mean?
their masculinity.
They lost their
So
masculinity.
what do I have to live for?
You know what I mean? I'm a man, but I'm not a man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's the point of life? Like, fuck that. So,
And lastly, 60% of domestic violence is males being attacked.
Toxicness. Oh.
Which basically means women.
it was
I
like,
think that's a reaction though. Like I think everything has a trigger point. In it.
It
I
doesn't
always
matter what the
thought it was-
trigger is.
I always-
Domestic violence.
I always thought it was females getting abused more, so I don't know
Probably used
statistics
to
and I'll
be.
look into it.
It probably-
But the thing is, yeah, male victims do exist.
yeah.
But again, it's the stigma of males can't be victims. And we need to start changing that. Like,
See,
females are capable of abusing men. Physically, mentally.
Well, that's
all sorts of
the first woman to
Get
be
smart
jailed
penis.
for domestically abusing her partner was only jailed like 2 years ago. Wasn't it?
This is where it really
Really
starts to trigger me, because the place where you can look at disadvantage, look at statistics and be like, this is a serious point, is when you go to court.
Yeah.
Men go to jail for serve law and sentences for the same thing a woman does all the time. All the time. It's an average in every single country.
It just looks, because of the aesthetic of it as well. Did you see the video? Because it was like, there was a video here where a woman was attacking a man, yeah, people were just walking past, yeah, and God
So-
forbid it was the switch in it.
The
Like,
figures are,
In the past
Everyone
year,
would jump on
Charles,
it.
what's going on, fam?
Let her finish and then
So in 2018, 1.3 million women said or reported being abused, and 695,000 men.
Okay, that's reported.
Cute.
she's abusing me.
Exactly. Look, how many men will actually even want to say that?
Can I please? She's murdered me. She threw a powder on my head.
Exactly. Toxic masculinity. This toxic masculinity that they'll talk
I
about.
don't know what to do. She said how to spark it.
Toxic masculinity.
it is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Deal with it, bro.
That's exactly what my dad would say.
Yeah, you just have to do it in his life.
And it's not
Pound
okay.
your
It's not life. It's not okay.
Pound your belly.
And we're at that stage. If like if we want to hold men accountable for their actions, of course we need to hold females accountable too. There's no question about
Book
that.
your Uber, by the way.
I've booked it. But like, there is no question about that. It's whatever's happening, we're fighting for women to be on equal ground as men. That doesn't mean we're trying to neglect what's happening to men. It's just trying to say we're getting females up on this level to join you guys. But then also, it's still acknowledging men are having so many different problems within the male
You
community.
can adjust
Yeah.
those issues easier when you're at the same level.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like, the second point apart from the court, where men are seriously disadvantaged, is university. Every single year at our uni, females are taking majority of the courses.
Not a man course.
Well, it depends on your course.
Well, you all
No, I'm talking about you overall.
Mostly,
overall. And STEM courses in general.
So it's like,
Well, STEM courses
Mostly
are
man more.
no.
Let her finish,
STEM
man.
courses are literally known for having such a male uptake and such a low female uptake.
Exactly. That's why if you're
Science, technology, engineering.
yeah. If you're female and you apply, you have a 2 to 1 more advantage of getting that job because everyone is so desperate to hire females.
desperate. Please.
No, literally they're desperate to not look. So they don't look at the organisation and like, oh, we don't have no females. We can get
But
screwed.
do you not think that's possibly a good thing? That it's nice to have, if we've got men and female who are just as capable as each other, if we're in an environment where it's just males, isn't it not good to have some females in?
You teach them more STEM.
Yeah. So it carries on and balances out at lower levels.
But that's an unfair advantage. that you-
But it's not. But the whole point is, it's not an advantage. These are females who literally are in a male-dominated society, like a heavily male-dominated culture.
Okay.
They're not getting the merits because they're women. Again, illegal. They're getting the job because they're at the same level as their male counterpart.
Yeah, but I'm saying they apply with the same results, exact same results.
Yeah.
CV's quite similar.
And so
What
that's
they're
the
getting
only time, because we do gender and law, that's the only time in the UK where it's allowed to say, okay, when exactly a male and a female, exact same results, exact same background, exact everything to the T, with the only difference being the gender, is they will say, okay, we will allow the female in this case to get the job. And the same way, if it was Bain and it was an all-white office, if you're against a white person and you're of an ethnicity of any sort, if you're at the same level, they will allow the Bain applicant
Oh, just
To progress.
automatically.
to progress
That
forward.
isn't fault.
Isn't that?
Because
Isn't that?
no,
I hate to say it, but that's
I think that should just be
that
50-50.
sucks quite a bit actually.
Yeah.
well, no, that's on the notion that like, so in America it's quotas. In America's it'll be like, we need 2 black
500
people,
black people.
2 Asians, and stuff like that, and they will say we're only looking for those people.
I feel my
In the UK, the basis is if you've got the exact same qualification, and we can see that in this environment we're not like diverse enough, then you can say actually we need a diverse viewpoint. We need a viewpoint of someone other
Fair
than
enough,
all
fair
of these people.
That's
And I
it.
think that is fair enough. Like, you're not getting employed because you're a woman. You're getting it because you're at the same merits, but because
They
you've got
need
the
that
additional
person,
viewpoint, you've got it.
Another thing, yeah, you know how like there's psycho
Silly.
girlfriends,
This is the.
there's psycho girlfriends, yeah, but a psycho boyfriend is an abuser. So like women are allowed to be psycho, yeah, and hit you. And
No,
question you and stuff.
again, they're abusive. There's
Not
like,
allowed.
That's a toxic thing of
Yeah.
femininity.
we need to stop. We need to stop defending people who are hitting
Yeah,
men
that's it, yeah.
and saying, "Oh, they're psycho." They're not. They are psycho just as much as a man would be, but what they are first and foremost are abusers.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's like we're not here saying, "Oh, but women are doing it too." But we're not saying it's okay for women to do it, but we know it's not okay for a man to do it, and it's not okay for a female to do it. Like that's it. That's the line. There is no 2 ways about it. If it's not okay for a man to do it, it's not okay for a female to do it.
You need education.
Education
Change the
is key.
curriculum. Just change the
Very key.
My driver's here, guys. I have to go. On that note, feminism is needed.
She lied. She lied.